what could have I've done. Like I feel like I hold a lot of guilt in a way. It's probably the word to put it. Like I wish I could have done this or I should have done this.
But you know it's not your fault.
Yeah, like I know that it's not my fault, but like that's my brother. That was my everything. And I feel like sometimes I think, oh yeah, I should have done more, but yeah, I couldn't. But yeah, I think about that every day.
You got to be able to let yourself off that hook,
yeah,
though, man. Because
it is about
the horrible thing about that is you can't ever answer that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And you keep yourself stuck there forever if you let it happen.
Yeah.
But it's the hardest thing in the world, so I don't blame you. I don't blame you, man. Like, of course you still think about that.
That's Zak Hausler. 2 years ago, he lost his brother Luke to suicide. Luke struggled with his mental health throughout his younger days, but it seemed like that all changed for the better when he met his partner Zoe. Luke and Zoe had just had a baby girl and gotten engaged when he died. It was an inconceivable shock to Zak and the rest of his family who never saw any warning signs. Zak's pushed on through the aftermath of tragedy and adapted to life without his brother, but a part of Luke will always be with him. Welcome to Young Blood, the award-winning volunteer podcast dedicated to young men's mental health. My name's Callum McPherson, I'm a journalist, and this is a platform for everyday men to share lived experience stories and show that no matter what you're going through, you're not alone. Suicide is the #1 killer of young people, and changing that starts with speaking up. So let's do it. This episode has been made possible by Pro Realty Property Consultants. Pro Realty is a proud sponsor of the Young Blood Men's Mental Health podcast and a big believer in the importance of mental health awareness and suicide prevention. These legends swooped in with funding support at a time when we really needed it, and it's thanks to them we've been able to keep the show going. If you're looking for a commercial real estate agency you can trust to deliver quality, Pro Realty has a team of experienced professionals with the knowledge and expertise to provide you with a wide range of specialist services. Get in touch with their friendly team today to discuss how they can best assist you and mention Youngblood in your inquiry for a discount. Trigger warning, if you find anything spoken about in today's episode distressing, please contact Lifeline on 13 11 14.
Zak, it's been 2 years since you lost your brother to suicide. Where are you at with everything now?
To be honest, at this current time, I've actually been in a pretty down place, to be honest. Like I've gone from the high highs of getting myself to a really good space, and now kind of, I don't know, I feel like things are kind of unloading a little bit in a way, and now it's where I'm really having to work super hard to, get to where I need to be in a good space, I think now.
So how do you describe how that's feeling?
I think a lot of it's all a lot of stress and stuff. Like my job and stuff is quite high stress, and now it's really dealing with my emotions and everything from more or less the past trauma, I guess, especially from my brother's passing. It's you really got to make the most of everything I'm doing now and really focus on what I'm doing in my own mind and, more or less go from there.
So how did you deal with it immediately? Did you throw yourself into work straight away, or were you looking for distraction?
Yeah, to a degree I did. I actually quit my job pretty well, 2 weeks after my brother passed. My immediate thing was my family. So I actually had a little bit of time off. So I just focused on family, got everything going there. I think my mind just went into kind of its own little autopilot, and it was just there for mum and dad. And then, I got stuck straight into work, and that was definitely the big focus.
So do you think now that you're at a point where you've created a successful business, which is amazing, with 8 people working under you and that's all going great guns, do you reckon that might be linked to the sort of stage of reflection you're at now, where you've achieved this big thing that you wanted to achieve, and then you're thinking back and thinking forward to the future, and do you reckon that's tied in with sort of?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a real good coping mechanism to this point, but now it's really dealing with, everything super well, taking, using my mind in the right ways, getting onto, my headspace. So I'm, switched on 100% of the time. I've gone and I'm seeing a psychologist and stuff a bit now to, really get my headspace really where it needs to be. And I'm really really onto that kind of stuff, because I've more or less put it on the back burner. I think, probably the last 6 months, I think I've kind of just worked and put everything to the back burner, and now it's really working on that to get it to where it needs to be.
So have you seen a throughout this time, like on and off?
Yeah, like bits and bobs, to be honest, like not like I am now. I think it's just kind of talk in general. Like mum, I definitely I deal with my emotions and stuff like quite well. Like I've grown up around mental health, so I have a very open family, and we really just talk about it. So it's not something I bottle up a lot, but I do deal with things in my own way personally. But yeah, I've needed now to really get those little coping mechanisms, I think, to, just speak to someone different, really just get that mind ticking where it needs to be now.
What have you been getting out of seeing a psych and stepping that up?
For me, it's just like it's coping mechanisms for me, and just digging back more or less into my trauma. Like kind of growing up, I've had a few things along my years. You really sit back and look and you think, wow, like that's, pretty heavy for someone to deal with. And, I'm now 28 and I now need to really deal with those things well. And I'm a big preacher to my friends to look after their mental health. Like I'm full on with my friends, and everyone talks really well now, but I really need to kind of, take that upon myself and do that myself. So yeah, which I'm doing now. Like I'm very focused on myself to do that because, if I'm no good, my family's no good, and then my friends aren't good. So yeah, that's the way I look at it.
It's great to hear that you're that instigator for your friendship group, and of course you would be after going through something like that.
Yeah.
But it's very easy. I think I experienced a bit of this myself, where you get caught in, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you spend a lot of time trying to be there for other people and giving them the advice that that you should follow. But when it comes to doing it yourself, it doesn't mean that you actually do it.
No, I agree.
It takes sort of extra discipline to be able to pull yourself into line and make sure that you're practicing what you preach.
Yeah, 100%. I think that is the hardest thing. And especially once you go through something like this, I think it's easy to kind of go down the rabbit hole, I guess, and you're thinking about everything else and everyone else. And you don't step back and think about you and what you need, because you kind of don't want to come off, I guess, as being selfish, but you have to be selfish to a degree.
Or you can't help anyone else. Anyway.
Exactly. You got to do what's good for you and help yourself.
But how's Luke's death changed you as a person?
I know there's kind of two sides to this, and I think about it daily and what it's done. Like on the good side, like it has instilled a drive. I've always had a lot of drive, like growing up, but it has just put, I don't know, like a fire in my belly to achieve things that I never really would have if this didn't happen. Like,
why is that?
I don't know. I think I was happy to coast along, I guess, in a way with my life, in a sense, which I was super happy to a degree. But I don't know. We're not here that long, and especially when you lose people that are so close to you and stuff, I think that it just changes something in your mind, and that's what it's done for me. And I've just, all right, I want to tick these boxes before I'm out of here. So, well, that's the way I look at it anyway. Everyone's different, but yeah, it's just the way I kind of take it on.
So that's the positive side. What about the negative side?
The negative side is more or less, like personally, it's affected me massively. Like my brother was kind of my coping mechanism sometimes as well. Like we're both having shit days. Like we've both been through a bit, and we would just talk heaps. Like I'd talk to him 3-4 times a day. That's one thing that absolutely rattles me. I still, I always feel like I'm going to call him every morning. I always grab my phone and he's the first person I think of to call. I don't know, it's already been 2 years now, which I can't believe. But yeah, not having that's really rocked me. But, and also like the other side of that is the negative side is, just how it's affected me. Like I have coped with my mental health quite well over the years till now. I think I was really good for a good year and a half, and like the last probably 6 to 4 months, I think I've been really struggling. So now, but then still, it's also made me be super aware of everything and really get onto myself. And I can't take this for a joke. I really need to do something here now.
When you do think of your brother, when you pick up the phone or just throughout the day, what do you do with that thought?
To be honest, it always ends up pretty much with me crying, to be honest. It is a very hard thought to kind of bear, but I just try and think of the positive. like I know all the great stuff we got to do, and more or less the positive outlook that we've always had. Like,
You still hear his
yeah,
voice a lot.
Yeah, I do. Like, my mum's a very spiritual person, and I know not to mum's level, but I am in my own like little way. So yeah, I feel like his presence is always near, and I definitely wouldn't be able to achieve what I have without him. So yeah, he's not here, but I'm sure he's here, on my shoulders, pushing me along because I
Yeah.
know exactly what he'd be saying if I wasn't kicking my goals. So I'm sure he'd be kicking my ass.
You really can. You can hear what they would say in
Exactly.
various situations. I
Yeah.
lost my mate to suicide, and I still,
Yeah.
when something happens, I'll think about him and I'll imagine telling him about it or chatting to him, and I know
Yeah.
what he would say back.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort
You
of.
just play like role play that,
Yeah.
and you know what it
Yeah,
is.
and they're not there, but it's sort of like part of them still is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What's your memory now of the day that he died?
It's still like it's quite clear, but then it's kind of quite patchy because I didn't sleep for days. Like it was pretty rattling. I remember getting the phone call from my brother's part or fiance Zoe. Yeah, she called us up and told me, and I was just like, "This is a dream. This is like what's going on." And yeah, drove to Luke's house, and yeah, it was pretty intense. But like remember everything kind of step by step. That's where this kind of fire in my belly really went when it kind of come down to looking after my family and like really going and taking on mental health in my own kind of way, I guess. Like doing things for my mates, like yeah, I just remember everything bit by bit, and I was like, I can't let this happen to you know my family and my friends anymore. I've got to, it's kind of in recovery mode, I guess. You got to.
So that's what you thought immediately.
Yeah, like straight away. I know it was weird, like how to to put it, to be honest, but I was just so rattled by it at the same time. Like I only spoke to Luke about an hour or so before his kind of time of death, and that rattled me because there was nothing like remotely there. Like his last text message and our last phone call was us. So, it's really hard for me to grip and bear that.
And you were so close as well.
Yeah, exactly. In that time, well, I woke up kind of like must been on time. Like that's like a bit of a spiritual thing, I guess, in its own right. I woke up and I just felt sick. And then when Luke's partner found him, she called me. Like I was up. I know must have been like kind of time of death till when she called me, and I just felt like something's not on. Like I felt so sick, like something's not right. And then yeah, she called, and I like, yeah, I don't know, it was weird. I don't know how to put it.
And that sense of overwhelming shock, how long did that last for?
Like a good week or two, I reckon. Like I live in the city, and I went to mum and dad's house for about 2 weeks. And when I stayed with them, I really wanted to make sure they were, we could all be together and get through this, this hard time. And yeah, I think we were all in shock for a good couple of weeks. It was just, yeah, it was so overwhelming. Like no one would eat, no one would sleep. Yeah, it was. I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. I guess like it is. Yeah, it's a horrible experience, but yeah, you get through that, and it's like day by day, and that's the thing. I think people also don't realize what I think. Some people seem to think of like, well, people say to me in conversation, it'll get better, and it doesn't get easier. You just learn to live with it, and it is a battle each day. It's like if you are fighting mental health day in, day out, it's a daily battle. It doesn't matter if you think you've got to a point that you've overcome it. You still got to keep battling and keep, yourself 100%.
Do you feel like you can win each day then?
Yeah, to a degree. Like I just take it on my worst days. I accept it for what it is, and I just think of the next day. That's the way I'm kind of try and think of it. Like I have to like give the most positive outlook I can. I can't. I know. In my mind, it's like I'm not letting this beat me, and I don't want it to beat anyone else, I guess, that's around me. So
yeah, and I guess the main thing is that there is a next day.
Yeah, exactly right. That's the biggest thing, and I think getting that awareness out there for people to keep talking and doing their thing. Like I can 100% vouch for it. Like I've had days like where I'm thinking, oh, I can't do this anymore. But it's just that fight, and just rely on, you can just go and talk to, even if it's I speak to my mum and dad heaps. I speak to my partner heaps. Like, if I'm not good, I tell them. And I'm lucky I have that support group. So I think that's pretty key.
And what does that do for you when you can speak about it?
Oh, it definitely pulls me out of my hole that I'm in. But I'm lucky to have, I I can rely on that. I can speak to them and just get myself to the point. All right, come on, you know, get
You've got a sounding board.
Yeah, exactly. Keep channeling that good energy, and like mental health is a big topic for or big passion for my family. Like, my mum suffered with severe depression and stuff over my whole, from when I was a grommet. We've really dealt with it, and my family's really open. So I think that's what gets us through a lot of things, is we're so open. And that's also the hard thing with losing Luke. We're such an open family, for that to more or less happen without, like, to us and our family, I think, and accept that. But each day rolls on, and I think you dig yourself a hole if you keep thinking about too deep into that. So
how has it impacted the rest of your family?
The roll-on effect is huge. Like, you go to like mum and dad, then my uncles and aunties, my cousins, and so on and so forth. Like, the roll-on effect from it is, it's crazy. I speak to my uncles and stuff like quite a lot, and they just get super emotional. And now they're kind of fighting their more or less demons, I guess you could call it, that they have kind of put to the back burner their whole lives. And I feel like this has kind of brought a lot of stuff up for everyone, and now everyone's kind of fighting through that. But
what about your mum in particular, given that she's had that struggle with depression throughout her life?
Mum's super rattled still. Like, mum gets very emotional very easily, but that's mum also as as a person. But I also haven't seen her, like, mum works for me, so she works for me like 3 days a week. But myself and mum have such a great connection now. Like, we always have, but now she works for me since Luke's passing. I haven't seen her this good at the same time. Like, she's a lot more vibrant and wanting to do things and kind of look after herself now at the same time. So she gets really emotional and really struggles, but she's also dealing with things so much better, I think, now at the same time, because you almost get put in a place where you have to deal with this, like this event, or this situation has been thrust upon us, and now you need to learn how to deal with this stuff. And I think it takes big things in your life to accept that kind of stuff and acknowledge what's going on. So,
I guess all you've got to choose is how you can respond, and as much as you want to, you can't change the past, but you can band together and find strength together. So
exactly right.
Thank God you've got such a loving family. that
I'm
does
so
that.
grateful for that. I'm so lucky. I'll never get over how lucky I am, really. And like, everyone always said, like, a lot of my friends are just like, you're so lucky. Like, everyone loves my mum and dad, which is pretty cool. They're very chilled people and just great people. So we are a lucky group.
What's it been like watching Zoe push on without Luke and raise their daughter?
It's pretty hard. Like, I don't know how she's doing it. Like, it's hard for everyone in their own right, either side of the family and whatever their space is. But to, lose your soulmate, and then also have to raise a child and deal with the trauma, and everything else that she's battling, like, that's incredible. Like, to be a single parent's incredible, let alone dealing with trauma, and especially going through this situation. But like, Zoe does have a very supportive family. She's got 110% from me and my family. Like, we're always going to be there. She's everything to us as well. And she has an incredible friends group. I think that's a massive, they live down south, and they've got a fantastic surf culture, and they've also got a really good community, I think, that have really, really supported Zoe and Lahia and in their own right.
What does she say about it?
Like, she's very positive outlook, but I feel like she's just like kind of like my mum and dad, myself, just so broken in a way from it. Like, Oh, like she's incredibly tough. Like I don't know how she's doing. It's pretty awesome to see, but I really couldn't put the word to it, to be honest. All I can say is it's incredible to watch her, but like battle through like she does. So yeah, especially for Lahia, and she's very open with Lahia. Like Lahia knows, like she's quite young, but she knows that Luke's not here anymore and everything. But she's just such an intelligent kid and so cute. She looks at photos of my brother and say, "Oh, that's my daddy," and she grabs him and hugs him, and like she acknowledges that Luke's not here, which I think it is a good thing. Like she's learning to go through these processes young. Like there's no right or wrong with that either.
Yeah.
To not say anything versus say something and go through that, but I think accepting your emotions and accepting the past, I think to do it straight away is the best thing, no matter how old you are, I think. And it gets to your mind, I think.
It takes so much strength, though, and it's so hard.
It is.
It's so sad for a little girl to have to go through that, isn't it?
Exactly. And that's the thing. She's got a lot of uncles and aunties and stuff around her, but I don't know. Like, that's not your dad. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. But like, that's one thing that breaks my heart, to be honest. And Luke, and that's one thing, like, I wish he really, really got to hone in on himself, was like how amazing he was as a dad. It was only short, it was more or less short-lived, but bloody hell, like, you don't see someone love as much as him. Like, he's a massive lover. So, like, just to see him in his element, like, it was incredible. Like, it brings tears to your eye. Like, even when he was here, to see how incredible he was. But yeah,
How did he speak about being a dad?
He loved to work, but then as soon as Lahia come along, he said, "No, I'm doing my 8 hours a day. I'm going home. That's it. I just want to be home." Just pretty awesome. He just wanted to be with his family. And that's the thing. He is a family man. He's just your typical kind of like Aussie larrikin in a way. Just wants to be home. Like, wants to do his thing, mow his lawns, have a beer, and yeah, just be with his partner and kids. And it was pretty good to see.
And he had a solid job, and he'd just gotten engaged, and they just had a kid, and this is one of those scenarios where, from the outside looking in, it all looks great, and that must be part of why it's all the more confusing. How long did you spend agonizing over why it happened, and how are you able to accept that?
To be honest, I don't think I've really gotten past that. I still do.
Yeah.
Like honestly, every day, like, a song will come on, or I'll just I honestly think about him numerous times a day, and still try to think, like, why, what could have I've done. Like, I feel like I hold a lot of guilt in a way. It's probably the word to put it. Like, I wish I could have done this, or I should have done this.
But it's not your fault.
Yeah. Like, I know that it's not my fault, but like that's my brother. That was my everything. Sometimes I think, oh yeah, I should have done more, but yeah, I couldn't. But yeah, I think about that every day.
You've got to be able to let yourself off that hook, though, man. Because
it is about
the horrible thing about that is you can't ever answer that.
Yeah, exactly.
And you keep yourself stuck there forever if you let it happen.
Yeah.
But it's the hardest thing in the world, so I don't blame it. I don't blame you, man. Like, of course you still think about that. But that's, I think, one of the toughest things about suicide is the only person who can answer that isn't here anymore.
Yeah, exactly right.
And just torture yourself trying to
think about
trying to know exactly what was happening there, and
I do agree. But like, I actually deal with myself quite well, I think, when it comes to that stuff. But I always think, I wish I could. But I think that's just that brotherly instinct, or when you have such a good connection with, like, regardless of the person who it is, I think you're always just going to have that thought that you wish you could do more.
And you must have thought, like, surely I could have been the one to make that difference, because you were so close. And
yeah, exactly. Like, that's a big thing for me.
But then you got to also think, like, you're an amazing brother, I've got no doubt, and we're a hugely positive part of his life, and helped him in so many ways. And you got to be able to remind yourself of that fact too. Yeah. Not just like, oh, what did I or didn't I do, or could I have done more at one particular time? But like, this is who I was overall, and this is the relationship we had,
Yeah, that's exactly right.
We all know physical health and mental health go hand in hand, and that's why Young Blood has partnered with Athletic Greens to bring you the benefits that can help with both. You might have heard of AG1, the one-stop shop nutritional drink packed full of everything you need to support your mind and body. Just one daily scoop of AG1 covers all your nutritional bases and supports long-term gut health with 75 vitamins, minerals, pre and probiotics, adaptogens, a greens blend, and whole food ingredients. Think of it like a cheat code to give you more energy, increase mental clarity, better sleep, and improve digestion, all while boosting your immune system. You wouldn't think mixing all those vitamins together would taste great, but AG1 is actually delicious and really simple to make part of your morning routine. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but producing the podcast is purely volunteer and I actually have to pay for studio time and editing. Every dollar we make from this partnership will go towards helping to cover production costs. So it's an awesome way to support your health, help the podcast, and contribute to young men's mental health all in one. If you're looking for a simpler and cost-effective supplement routine, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/youngblood. That's athleticgreens.com/youngblood. Check it out.
So what's given you comfort through all of this?
I think I have kind of, I'm a hands-on person. So I think like me being able to just go and do what I want to do now, like having my own business and stuff is really, I don't know, that's helped me, I guess, in the way of kind of comforting what I need to do to get through this. Like I've really just soaked myself into work. Like you can look at it, can be healthy, can be not healthy if you're doing it too much. And there's a fine line there.
There's worse coping mechanisms.
Yeah, exactly right. And I'm grateful for where I am and what I've done so far.
Can you have a rest? Like, can you find time where you actually feel relaxed, or is that really hard?
Oh, I find it really hard, and I haven't now. It's only honestly in the last couple of weeks I'm now accepting this and acknowledging this, and now I'm like, all right, I've got to pull it back. I've got to look after myself seriously now, otherwise I'm going down the rabbit hole. So yeah, and honestly, the last few weeks I've really just put the foot down. So I've been doing a lot still, but I really want to work things into places. Like I don't have to be at work. I've got an epic team. That's just me. I like to be there.
Yeah,
I love to work.
Yeah. But you don't want to burn out. It's harder for you to stop than go.
Yeah, exactly right. But no, I'm definitely getting there. That's just a little bit more time, and we're quite open at work as well. I talk to all of our team about everything, and that was one thing about starting a company was it's open platform. We talk about everything, and the business is built around mental health. That was the biggest thing. That was my number one. I didn't care about much else. Was all success in the world will come if you do the right thing, you work hard, you apply yourself, you do the right things, but you're going to get 110% out of your workers if you're looking after them and they're looking after you. And it all starts with like the age-old thing, and that's your mental health, isn't it? Like everyone's going through something. So if you
it's great for you to be leading the way in an industry like yours as well, where typically, particularly blokey blokes don't talk about stuff the most.
So. They don't, and it's the hard thing. But I'm a very this is how we've got to do it. Like we're going to get through this, and it's amazing the people you speak to. Like virtually every person you speak to has been through some form of trauma, and whether that you get through life, I guess, unscathed in a sense of not having to deal with it, or you're battling to deal with it. If you keep talking, and that's the start, I guess. So for us at work, if you can speak to your workmates and stuff openly about that stuff, hey, you're going to come to work, you can be having the shittest day in the world, and something's going on, you can say, hey, I'm not good today.
Yeah, and then that's going to be received in a way where someone's not going to chuck shit at you. Yeah. They're just going to listen.
Exactly. It's pretty good. And same thing, even the boys and stuff as well. Like it's a good culture. Like, you can be going through the hardest day, but I think sometimes you need to have a day to yourself and be at home. But then sometimes I think for myself personally, that's been a really bad thing as well, to be at home, you're with your own thoughts and you just lay in bed. Like, you're not actually doing much for yourself. Like sometimes it's good to have a little bit of mental stimulation, and I'd rather any of my workers come to work and do bugger all for the day, just as be around everyone, be social and talk, and they don't have to do anything. I'm still going to pay them for the day, but they can just come to work and just do what they need to do. I care more about that than I care more about their mind than having to pay wages. Like I'd pay the wages for people to sit there and, you know, to deal with their emotions or whatever they're going through any day.
Yeah, I guess it just speaks to how much it means to you.
Yeah.
What impact has that had on them?
It's pretty big. Like quite a few of my workers have like kind of grew up in the same community as myself as well. So everyone kind of knows my brother firsthand to a degree, or like they've like known of him over the years. So it has had a big effect. But it's also, I think, in a positive way as well, I think.
But them being part of this workplace culture, have you seen that help them with their mental health?
Yeah, I think so. I think like a lot of the lads are like quite hardy and don't really want to talk, and it kind of goes back to that trade industry of like no one talks about that stuff. But I think this has kind of helped, to be honest. Like I really think that it has helped to instill a bit of confidence that they can deal with their stuff. Like they're not going to get picked on. They're not going to be laughed at. They can just give anyone a call or talk to anyone, and you know, you don't have to do anything. It might not solve an issue, but you can get what you're feeling off your chest. And I don't know, you know, that's one step closer to where you need to be to deal with that.
Yeah, that's right.
And tick that box.
That's so cool that you've been able to create something that is built around that.
Yeah.
You know,
I love it, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Like I've worked in work environments that have been shit house. I just don't want to come to work. And and for me, I think having the center of it about mental health and then everything else around it, like you want to come to work. Like that's the whole point of me doing what I'm doing, I think. And then I want to be there.
And then you do better, and then it's good for business anyway.
Yeah, exactly right. There's so many flow-ons that are all positive. So I think a lot of companies need, instead of keep looking at this dollar value, like everything comes to a dollar.
It's good for your dollar value though, ultimately, isn't it?
Yeah,
if you've got employees that have good mental health, it's going to be better for your bottom line.
Exactly. Well, 100%. But I think so many businesses don't look at it. Like they just look at what's in front of them with, all right, this percentage is here and this
the
needs
short
to
term.
be here. Yeah. Exactly. Like it's kind of, everything's just cutthroat.
Yeah, and
no one cares.
People aren't numbers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the harsh thing I think the generations are going through, and that's what it's been like. People are just a number, but they're not a number. Like every individual person is like everyone's different, and you got to deal with everyone differently as well. Like you can't, you know, some people need to like, I don't know, like I don't yell or go off and stuff at work. Like if I'm yell or something like that myself, like I go off on myself, but like, you know, you don't need to do those things. Like that old culture of like you just get yelled and have something. Like for me growing up, I was an apprentice, like gets shit thrown at you or whatever. Like that's stuff doesn't happen. It like can't happen anymore. But people still just yell, kick and scream at people. And, you know, I think you just treat things differently and you get so much more out of them. Like just you treat everyone well and it flows on. Like, everything's like a really good positive
Who
thing.
would have thought?
Yeah, exactly. I know. But what do you do?
What did Luke struggle with when he was younger?
He struggled quite a few little bits and pieces. He was very self-conscious about how he looked and how he presented, like, which is crazy because everyone loved him. Like, I don't know, like even growing up, like girls and everything, everyone loved him. He's just like, I think that confidence inside, but that, like, and then he would, I don't know, there's almost like a comparison between myself and him. Like I was a very sports orientated person. He was too, but like not to the same degree. Like I'm just like over the top with things like footy. I want to do it well, or whatever it is. Where Luke was just way more chilled, but he would compare us, like, well, we both would like, you compare each other to each other. Oh, I'm not doing that. Or I think he struggled with a lot of that kind of stuff. But it's really hard to put a really good marker on it, I guess. Like ever since he was quite young, like I reckon from about 12, like very noticeable.
But so, and comfortable in his skin.
Yeah, and that's probably the best way to put it. Being comfortable in his skin, like, and he's always had a lot of support and stuff. But you know, it's just him trusting in his own belief, I guess, and like who he is as a person. Like, and it went to show at his funeral. Like, that was kind of in the midst of COVID. Like, we had, it was 250, 300 people, whatever it was, at the actual funeral, and then there was another 400 at our old footy club. Like, there's 700 people there that this young lad from the Adelaide Hills, and everyone just loved him. he was just a beautiful person, and he treated everyone with so much respect. Like, you could not get a more beautiful person and genuine person. And that's the most upsetting thing. And that's what I think a lot of people, really can't handle as well. Yeah, he really did struggle with a lot, like just little bits and pieces, and like the self-belief, I think, really ticks that box. And even into his like kind of later years and stuff, really did like a bit of like self-belief, but what he was doing was pretty awesome. Like, where he was going, his kind of trajectory, I guess you could put it, where he was going in life was really good. He just got out of a kind of shitty job and just got a freaking epic job with an incredible boss, and yeah, just got engaged, and yeah, just had a little one, and we're all here 110% behind him. But
And what about you?
for my,
And the way you've grown up, have you always been different?
Yeah, I've struggled, I think. Like, I look back at it now, and this is one thing I actually think about it a lot more now. I've always, I think, dealt with things with sport or like keeping active. I think I've gotten through my years till now with my sport, because I didn't matter how I was feeling, I'd go to footy and just go run like hell, or do something, go surfing or go motorbike riding, and I'd kind of put it behind me, whatever I was feeling. But now things are kind of changed. I'm not doing as much sport or bits and pieces like I was, and so I'm not dealing with, I think sport was my coping mechanism.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of hone that back in again and really get that going again. So just like now I'm just getting into like downhill mountain bike riding and just doing anything I can, I think, in that sense, and get active. Like, for me, getting active is a thing that I think I got through, which helped me more or less deal with whatever I was going through growing up.
And did you talk to Luke when you were both younger? Did you used to like help him with his feelings? And what would you say to him about his lack of confidence, or the fact that he sort of felt like he wasn't good enough?
Well, I'd always be pumping his tires up, and we would always be together. So we did everything. Honestly, we honestly did everything together. Like, we're almost like twins, I think, in that sense. Like, there was nothing we didn't do. So yeah, I was always trying to do everything I can for him, whether he thought it was good or not. I'm always trying to help him out. So I think that was very important, especially if you've got family members that are going through struggles like that. Like, you couldn't script some of the things that Luke's been through that we've had to help him through. And I think the constant support and stuff obviously helped. I wish, that's like the age old question. We wish we could do more at the same time, but we have a very supportive family.
Yeah.
So regardless of myself or mum and dad, we're a very supportive family to get through anything. Like, we fight. That's it. It is what it is. It's the kind of bottom line with us. We fight to get to where we need to be, to, keep our minds where we need them. So.
And the fact that there was effectively no warning signs, what does that teach us?
Yes, like, you just don't know. You honestly just can't put a time. You can't put everything's not worn on the outside. Like, some people do wear their heart on their sleeves and things are on the outside. I think, like myself, you can really tell when I'm not that good. Some are just a lot more quiet. I'm a pretty quiet person, but you can really tell, I think, with me, where, some people you just don't know. And that's why I think you have to treat every day. It is special to be here. So I think the little simple things, like for my family, and I'll always like live by this. My mum always buys like the person behind them's coffee every time she goes to get a coffee.
Really?
So it's like that pay it forward kind of mentality, and like that's a family thing that we do. So I live by that, because you don't know what some old mate's got going on behind you, and what's well, it is nowadays, a bloody $6 coffee, but
be adding up.
Yeah, no, that's it. But like, those little things make such a difference. Like, you could be having the shittest day and think, some person just bought me this coffee. Like, how good's that? That can bring you from down here, like, all the way up here, like, just by like simple gestures. But I think that like kind of good human mentality needs to change, where I feel like it's not. Everything's just kind of cutthroat, I guess, in a way. But I like doing little things. I think it's the word for it. It's kind of selfish in a way, like it's that selfish little
wanna feel
thing.
good.
Yeah, it's just like that selfish feel good thing in a way. Like I want to feel good and do something good for someone else. But
That's how we're built, I think, though.
Exactly.
That's human nature. And
yeah,
in this conversation, you've spoken a lot to the power of community and how
yeah,
that's got you guys through this
Yeah.
far, and then creating your own community yourself.
Yeah.
And, you know, that feeling of being able to be there for someone else, or be that kind of person that makes other people feel comfortable to be able to express themselves.
yeah,
There's just something about that just means more than anything else,
yeah,
really.
exactly. And you can tell when someone's heart's in something as well. Like if it's, things aren't sincere, I think like it's quite easy to tell when I'm good at reading people. So I think you can really tell when people aren't like sincere and stuff like that. And like,
Because you are.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, I don't know. I'd never like to think stuff like that. Like I like to think of myself as a pretty humble person.
Yeah, clearly.
But yeah, just like the simple things go so far. And I know that's where I'm going to live my life. And I have kids, I want them doing the same. And, whatever community I'm a part of, whether it's a sporting community or work community or whatever, that's how it's going to be. So, keep ticking those boxes and it grows and it's like a little bubble effect and it just keeps going on to, hopefully, years and years go on and more people become, a little bit more inclined to do those little things and be a bit more supportive.
Yeah, that's very admirable, bro.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
So how are you going to choose to remember Luke?
Just tick my goals. Like he was a big one for me, not doing what I wanted to do. He was like, you should be doing this or you should be doing that. So for me, it's just ticking the goals. And like his biggest thing was also like me to be happy in my own skin. Like ever since I was kind of young, I've also like not been that happy with like I'm always like I feel like I'm here and I need to be there in a way, which is like it isn't with some things that's not obviously you can't really compare like that, but with bits and pieces in my life, like I really need to do that to kind of get me through, and that's just how I kind of I don't know roll with things, and that's how we'll constantly I think get through. But like I'm a humble person, don't need much as long as I've got my family and just the little things that I want in my life around me, and then I'm sweet. And like I always know I've got my brother there behind me, and that's all I care about. As long as I think I'm doing what I think my family see that I should be doing or are happy, see me happy, that's my goal ticked. I'm stoked.
Yeah, mate.
So,
well, I know your brother'd be so proud of you.
Yeah, thank you.
You've done so much, and it's incredible that you've made a business built around this. And I think just that the kind of pillar of your community that you are, by being yourself and being humble and remembering Luke and being a family man and being just someone who's there for other people.
Yeah.
They're things that, you're not a superhero. You're just a good bloke, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that's powerful because you can be like that if you choose to be. And it's not easy, like you said, you've had a really tough time and continue to.
Yeah.
But it's those little battles every day, and it's knowing that you're not going to win all of them, but you're going to keep going, and life is worth living for a whole lot of reasons. And
100%.
And you can get so much out of helping other people because everyone's going to have something at some point.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't have to be necessarily like losing someone as well. Like a lot of people in conversations, I talk to people like, like what I'm going through is not as big as yours. And like, you can't put this up here and this down here. Like everything's like a level playing field.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the trauma. Like you could, you lose a pet, you could, something could happen at work. Like anything can send you into a twist. Like it doesn't matter what it is.
Feelings are valid.
Yeah, exactly.
Regardless of
that's what I tell everyone. Like you just everyone's here. It doesn't matter what you've been through, but you just you take it on and you just deal with it. Like you got to go and do the right things to get those boxes ticked.
Yeah, and the first step for dealing with it is often talking about it.
Exactly, that's it. It's number one, and then it kind of gets to roll from there. And what you do from there is up to yourself, and like you do have to help yourself. You can't kind of roll through and just expect things to happen and things magically get better. You have to
take
make
action.
Yeah, you have to make it happen. So, yeah, that's a big thing.
Thanks, mate.
Awesome. Thank you. Cheers.
That's it for this episode. If you like what we're all about, support us by following Young Blood Men's Mental Health on Instagram and Young Blood Mental Health on TikTok. And if you're already following, we'd love to get you more involved. Keep an eye out for our regular community question time posts on Instagram and drop a comment with your answers to join the conversation. Every podcast episode is recorded in professional quality video and they're all up on our Young Blood Men's Mental Health YouTube channel. So please show some love and subscribe. You can find everything there is to know about the podcast at youngbloodmensmentalhealth.com. And most importantly, please share these stories with anyone in your life who needs to know they're not alone. We're all in this together. Catch you next time.